morning. Thank you all for being here. My name is Mike Schmidt. I'm the Multnomah County District Attorney. Today I'm joined by our Multnomah County Chair, Jessica Vega-Peterson, by our Portland Mayor, Ted Wheeler, City Commissioner Renee Gonzalez, the Portland Business Alliance CEO Andrew Hone, and as you can see, our law enforcement leaders across the county. The sheriff wanted to be here this morning. She wasn't able to do it. She's swearing in some new sheriff's deputies, so that's good news, but she sends her support. So I'm here today, and I'm pleased to announce that, and thanks to part and funding from Multnomah County and the City of Portland, my office will be standing up 2 new local task forces. One that will be tackling organized retail theft, and the other that will be addressing auto theft. I want to be clear, though. This work has been happening all along, and there's some fantastic work happening already across Multnomah County. East Precinct, I want to call out specifically for their work on auto theft, is doing fantastic work partnering with the Phil Knight Cancer Institute, doing some innovative work. So this has been going on, and every day my office is reviewing these types of cases. But we want to do more, and we know that working together in a focused and collaborative manner, we can get even better results. So over the past several months, I've been having conversations with the city and the county about seeing what we can do to dedicate additional resources to those efforts. And I want to thank especially Commissioner Gonzalez, who and I started off having this conversation, was extremely open and a partner in helping me think about how we could do things that would make an immediate impact. So, like all things, I want to start with a little bit of data, and I've got the board over here that you can see. That of course won't work. There it goes. All right. So starting off with a little bit of data, so you can see what we're talking about today and why we're here. Between 2019 and 2022, you can see the number of reported auto thefts in Multnomah County has increased 68%. In 2022 alone, we had over 1,500 cases referred to my office for prosecution, which is an all-time high for our agency. And we're issuing charges in an increasing percentage of those cases, and 76% in 2022. And that is thanks to a lot of the good collaborative work that we're already doing between our agencies. Talking about theft, similarly, over 26,000 thefts reported in 2022 in Multnomah County, which is a 10% increase from 2020. But we also know from talking to businesses, small and large retailers, that many thefts go unreported. So again, setting up this task force will help us collaborate and put together good cases that we make sure we hold people accountable. In terms of the resources, Multnomah County is contributing funds for 2 deputy district attorney positions, 1 for each task force, and the city will be contributing funds for 2 DA investigators and a legal assistant. These task forces will be cross-jurisdictional and coordinated efforts led by my office. We'll work with the Portland Police, the Gresham Police, the Oregon State Police, and the Sheriff's Office on improving investigations, building cases with better chances for successful prosecution, identifying prolific offenders, because we know that there are some people that are driving a disproportionate amount of this crime in our community, to apprehend and hold them accountable, as well as working on community outreach and talking about prevention. Related to retail theft, I've been having many conversations with local business owners and major retailers over the past year about ways that we can work together to address organized retail theft. I'm pleased that this task force will involve business owners and loss prevention officers whose experiences and information can be instrumental to successful arrests and prosecution. It's truly a public-private partnership. And I'm very grateful for my partnership with the Portland Business Alliance, and their support in getting us here today has been instrumental. This task force also complements work that's been happening at the statewide level, which I've been a part of. There are currently 3 pieces of legislation that would greatly enhance the efforts that we're making here today locally. Those are Senate Bills 318, 340, and 900. The key component of these bills, essentially what they would do is, 1, they would stand up a task force, an organized retail theft task force in the Attorney General's office. They would set aside funds for local law enforcement agencies to access so that they can have the funding they need to do this work. And they would enhance the organized retail theft statutes to make us as prosecutors more able to hold people accountable for those crimes. So locally here, we're doing our part. The city and county investments we're discussing today are pending official votes. But as you'll hear from Chair Vega-Peterson and Mayor Wheeler shortly, we have every reason to believe these proposals will be met with broad support. And when they are, my office is prepared to hit the ground running as soon as that happens. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our Chair, Jessica Vega-Peterson.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jessica Vega-Peterson, Multnomah County Chair. I want to thank all of our partners who are here today, and I want to thank District Attorney Schmidt. Thank you for your partnership in helping Multnomah County bring forward the opportunity before us to put resources in place that truly address the alarming uptick in auto theft and property crime across our communities. As District Attorney Schmidt shared, we are experiencing a historical increase in auto thefts, a 68% increase in auto thefts since 2019, and an 80% increase in case referrals to our District Attorney's Office. That is unacceptable. And we have business owners across our community, people already reeling from the economic impacts of the pandemic, who are dealing with rampant theft that further impacts their livelihoods and their ability to serve customers. This theft is organized, prolific, and it too is unacceptable. Retail and auto thefts impacts our abilities to feel safe in our communities. Our communities need and deserve the resources we're putting in place to address this decisively and collaboratively. In the executive budget I released last Thursday, one of our key investments is adding 2 deputy district attorneys to create the task force DA Schmidt has called for. As the district attorney discussed, this new task force will enhance existing efforts with improved strategies to address the most prolific offenders, training on loss reduction and investigatory work, and more capacity for case preparation. I appreciate District Attorney Schmidt's focus on this need among his budget requests, especially because I am aligned in the need for decisive action now. For many families, auto theft can have significant personal impacts. That car may be their only mode of transportation, their only way to getting to work efficiently, their only way of transporting a child to school, the only way to provide elder care to an aging parent that they've come to rely on. Because of the costs associated with buying and owning a car, the loss of one can be one of the toughest things for a family to replace. For this reason, the ripple effects of auto thefts are often catastrophic and destabilizing, creating impacts that can last for months or even years. Moreover, stolen vehicles are often associated with other crimes like theft and even shootings. With retail theft, we've learned that this is less an issue of individual theft and more an issue of individuals working together in coordinated rings to target merchandise that can then be resold to other businesses or online. Being the victim of retail crime can be similarly destabilizing to the owner and the team of people working at that business, in some cases causing months of cleanup and headache, and in others, the loss of business entirely, which can be devastating to a neighborhood. Making sure that we reverse these troubling trends is a priority for me. I hear the numerous consequential impacts of these crimes from communities and businesses that I talk to, and I deeply value the safety of our community. The more that we can coordinate it, track, and thoroughly investigate these crimes, the more effective we will be. And we know our approach is a sound one. Retail and auto theft rings will be investigated with coordinated efforts across many law enforcement teams, investigation units, and jurisdictions. We will take a regional approach to these problems so that every jurisdiction is involved in bringing their best practices and resources to the table. Multnomah County's 2 new deputy district attorneys will be embedded inside our law enforcement agencies to maximize our effectiveness in investigating and prosecuting individuals. The opportunity to build a collaborative, focused effort that includes the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office, the Portland Police Bureau, the Gresham Police Department, as well as our DA's office and the Portland business community, represented here today by the Portland Business Alliance, is exactly the kind of collaboration that I've prioritized since taking office in January. These issues don't fall solely on the shoulders of police. They don't fall solely on the shoulders of the district attorney. There are issues all of us that must step up and address, and that's exactly what we're doing here today. I know with these increased resources, we have a chance to create a ripple effect that includes a reduction in organized retail theft, a safer environment for consumers, an improved business climate, and less economic hardship across our communities. What we're saying here today is we feel your frustrations. We share your desire for action. We want to see those responsible for crimes being held accountable, and we're stepping up to make that happen. And in that spirit of partnership, we continue to forge between Multnomah County and the City of Portland. I welcome Mayor Wheeler to the podium to make his remarks.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm happy to be here with DA Schmidt and Chair Vega Peterson, as well as our law enforcement partners and the Portland Business Alliance. We're proud to make this announcement and demonstrate our unified commitment to making sure that Portland is safer for everyone. My staff, and I'm sure DA Schmidt's and Chair Vega Peterson's staffs, work closely with many people in our community who are affected by criminal behavior. Whether it's the single parent whose car was stolen, which is their lifeline for their family, or the small business owner whose store has been stolen from time and time again, I'm here to say to you, we hear your struggle, and we're focused on bringing accountability to the harm that you've been caused. I want to make it very clear that this is an expansion of the strong collaboration that's already happening amongst our multiple law enforcement partners in the region, and I welcome this new level of jurisdictional cooperation. These two new task forces will be jointly funded, as you've heard, by the city and the county to provide dedicated prosecutorial, investigative, and administrative resources to buttress the good work that law enforcement is already doing. We're continuing our strong recruiting and hiring efforts at the Portland Police Bureau, and I appreciate Governor Kotek's support to expand the capacity at the State Academy so that we can get these new officers trained quickly and into the community where they're needed. I'm proud of the work that the Portland Police Bureau has done in partnership with other agencies to address auto theft. PPB and their partners have shown tremendous resourcefulness in addressing auto theft by thinking outside of the box, by being creative, by innovating. Officers at East Precinct found a way to quantify years of training and observations and use it to build a database, a data-driven system to identify stolen vehicles. And they've seen tremendous results. More stolen vehicles have been identified with fewer stops, substantially fewer stops. More cars have been returned to their rightful owners, again, with fewer stops. More guns and drugs have been taken off the streets, again, with fewer stops. This is an innovative program, and it's based on statistics. And I believe in relatively quick order, it will become a national model. This methodology has been cultivated into a truly revolutionary approach to a problem that harms way too many people in our community, as you've heard from the other speakers. Similarly, I applaud PPB's work to collaborate with other law enforcement agencies and businesses to conduct organized retail theft missions around the city. They've been partnering with businesses to evaluate current best practices and holding retail theft summits to find creative solutions, to hear safety concerns, and then to address those specific safety concerns. These efforts have routinely resulted in numerous arrests, recovery of stolen property, and removal of guns and drugs from the streets of our city. We're proud to fortify these partnerships and expand the impact of this important work for the betterment of our community. I want to personally thank Chief Chuck Lavelle, who is here somewhere, second to the last behind me, of course, for his dedication and his willingness to try new and innovative strategies. And I'm pleased to say that they're having results. So Chief, thank you as always for your leadership and your partnership. I'd like to thank all of our partners for being here this morning and taking this step together. It's an important step that we take together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Wheeler. My name is Andrew Hone, President and CEO of the Portland Business Alliance, which is Greater Portland's Chamber of Commerce. Today is a good day, and we are pleased to be here. And as you can tell, it takes a village, and I just want to commend all those in law enforcement who are working tirelessly every single day. And specifically to DA Schmidt, to Chair Peterson, to Mayor Wheeler for the announcement of this multi-jurisdictional effort to crack down on the two types of crime that we believe and data show are plaguing our city: car thefts, crimes targeting retail businesses. And with 80% of our members being small businesses, we hear about this every single day. No one is more optimistic about the future of our great city than the Portland Business Alliance. And we know Portland's best days are ahead, especially if our local public and private sector leaders collaborate to solve our most pressing problems. And we also believe that building a brighter future for Portland requires us to be honest about our current challenges. The facts show that since 2019, crime in Portland has increased. We can debate the reasons for this, but there's no question that Portlanders do not feel as safe in their city as they did before the pandemic. And as you heard from the DA, car thefts and retail theft has seen the greatest rise. It's not easy to be a business owner in Portland in 2023. Break-ins, senseless vandalism, robberies, vehicle thefts are plaguing businesses of all sizes, especially our storefront businesses, the very types of businesses that are more likely to be owned by people of color or immigrants. The reality today is that thousands of business owners head to their shops and storefronts worried that this may be the day that they were broken into, or their windows were smashed, or one of their vehicles were stolen. Many businesses have been hit multiple times. This was bluntly illustrated in the results of a recent survey of businesses released by the Portland Business Journal, where 79% of businesses reported being vandalized or broken into just in the past year. Coming out of the pandemic with so many businesses operating close to the edge, as COVID relief has receded, being victimized by a break-in or something else can be the thing that pushes a small business over the edge. The Alliance has been working with leaders to promote collaborative strategies to turn things around and restore safety to our community. And recently, those efforts, because of everyone here, received a good piece of news that we are hoping is just the start of a trend. FBI data that was released just 2 weeks ago showed that violent crime and property crime were down year over year from the first quarter of 2021 to the first quarter of 2022. Thank you to all of you for this. These are results in action and urgent action. With the formation of these task forces, which will be focused on the two types of crime that we know are still on the rise, we believe this positive trend can be accelerated. I want to go and thank very specifically District Attorney Schmidt for his vision in bringing this transparent, collaborative, and accountable strategy together. And I want to thank Chair Vega Peterson, Mayor Wheeler, and Chief Lavelle for investing in this multi-jurisdictional approach. And I also want to thank Commissioner Renee Gonzalez, who has been a very strong voice for restoring community safety to our city, and we know as an advocate for this plan. The Portland business community stands ready to partner with all of you to make sure that these task forces are a success. Thank you.
That concludes our speakers, and so we're happy to open it up for questions. If you don't mind stating your name and your outlet before you ask your question, that would be very helpful. Go ahead.
Ryan Gaswood with K2. Maybe a question for the chiefs and Mayor Wheeler. The prosecutors have told us that when it comes to car thefts, they need good cases that may go beyond what patrol officers can do. You mentioned the stuff in the East Precinct. Are there any plans to expand that, either do it more frequently or do it in other precincts?
Yeah, I'll take that. Thank you for that question, Ray. There is, and right now, our East Precinct are the ones that have really been spearheading this effort. Their partnership with the Knight Cancer Institute has really produced good results for us, and we want to expand that throughout the Police Bureau. They've shared their information and kind of what's been working for them with the other precincts, and we're able to do these missions on a recurring basis, but they've been really successful. We want to do them as often as we can, but we rely on overtime and officers to be available to do them. But we share that not only throughout the Police Bureau, but we've shared it with Multnomah County and others too, who have helped us and partnered with us. Our approach to this has really been kind of mission focused. We wish we had the ability to do this on a regular, recurring basis, but through partnerships with our law enforcement partners, we've been able to do this fairly successfully. We did one a couple Fridays ago where we We had 13 actively driven stolen vehicles we recovered, and we're able to make 19 arrests. So we're continuing the work. We're happy to have the partnership from the DA's office and the investments from the city to really do the follow-up piece. And we have a lot of young officers too. So having access to DAs who are dedicated to this is going to help the cases be better. Having the investigators is going to have the follow-up be better. So we're really hopeful.
Yeah, I was just going to add, Chief Goldberg with the Gresham Police Department. I was just going to add to that piece. I think we've already done the work with Portland. I think what's important is that we do it the right way. So as Portland expands that, we want to make sure all of our staff are trained appropriately in the new work that they're doing. So it'll take some time.
Elizabeth Boyd, a question for DA Schmidt. Given the challenges of the lack of public defenders and the number of cases the courts have been dropping month by month, what are your plans to be able to prosecute these cases when they come to you?
Yeah, great question. The crisis of not having enough public defenders has really hit our community hard, and it hits us really hard specifically in these C felonies, these property crime types cases. But we can't stand by and allow these numbers to persist. So we have to do our job. I'm hopeful that the state legislature is going to do what they need to do to get us the resources and structure the defense attorney contracts the way that they need to be structured so that we will have representation, which people are entitled to. But what we're also going to do, and the key ingredient of having a deputy DA and investigator focus full time on this, is we can focus our efforts on those individuals who are the most prolific. If you got to prioritize, we want to prioritize the people who have 3, 4, 5, 6 stolen car cases out there and make sure that at the very least they are being held accountable, they're getting defense attorneys assigned to them. So we can kind of help make sure that we're focusing on the right folks, and the people in the legislature hopefully are going to do their work to get us defense attorney resources we need.
Are you concerned that some of these cases might just be dropped after your work on prosecuting them?
It's a concern. We have seen stolen cars and other cases like this consistently run into having no public defender, and ultimately those cases end up being dismissed. But what everyone should understand about that is that even if the case is dismissed because today there's no public defender, that doesn't mean that that case is gone. It doesn't mean that case is forever dropped. We can bring that case right back to grand jury, and an indictment can be achieved, or a true bill voted on by the grand jury, and a warrant can go out for that person's arrest. Now that's not what we want to do, because that means we're doing double work. That means we're going through the grand jury twice. That means police officers who are doing the work are testifying, and we're taking them off the streets. That means they have to do the arrest that they've already done again. So we don't want that. We want to do it once and have the case stick, but we will. We will do it as many times as necessary to hold people accountable.
DA Schmidt, Megan with you. We've talked to business owners who have either decided to leave the area or considering leaving the area because of a lack of prosecution for some of these retail theft crimes. Do you think that this will be enough to convince businesses to stay here moving forward?
Well, I think what you should, everybody should see is I recognize, the people behind me recognize that businesses, small businesses, large businesses are the lifeblood of our community. One of the things that I love about Portland most is that I get to walk around my neighborhood and patronize local bakeries and coffee shops and just a diversity of small businesses. So absolutely, this is focused on doing what we can to have the best impact on the things that are really hurting them the most and that we've seen some shut down for. We're going to focus on the folks who, where the things are stolen, they are then selling those to other people. And the hope is, just like we've done with catalytic converter thefts, that if you cut off where people can then sell the things, you'll really drive down the number of people who are hitting our businesses and stealing things to make a quick dollar to turn it over, oftentimes to satiate their addiction. So our hope is, by having this dedicated resource, we will see a pretty swift and immediate impact on driving down the number of businesses that unfortunately are being hit and dealing with this every day.
And how would you respond to those who have already left, who may voice frustration that action like this didn't happen sooner?
Again, I absolutely, and I've been talking with businesses for the last year about this, so that nothing happens overnight. We've been working on this, and so I'm really excited that today is the day that we're coming together to say we're gonna make this happen across. But we've been talking to other communities, Clackamas County, Washington County. Hopefully the state AG gets these resources. We're all getting up and online on this, so it certainly couldn't come soon enough, and we're excited to see it get going.
Could someone share some specifics on finances here, how much the county is contributing, how much the city is contributing, and also how long will these positions be secured for?
Right. So I'll just say briefly, and I don't have the dollar numbers in front of me, but we can get those to you, Kyle. but 2 deputy district attorneys at the level 2 level, which is our property crime, felony property crime prosecutor level from the county, and from the city, 2 investigators and a legal assistant to help us staff the committees. So that's the FTE that we're looking at. We can get you the exact numbers of what it was. What was the second part of your question?
How long will these positions
Oh.
be in place?
And so, you know, every year the city and the county go through the budget process. It's annual budgeting. So again, you know, we'll be looking at this. I hope we'll be coming back next year and saying, hey, look at the great results we've achieved. We need to keep this going. And, you know, this isn't a brand new thing that's never existed before. There has been an auto theft task force in Portland, in Multnomah County before, and it had great success. So I'm confident that we're going to see good outcomes. And the hope is, of course, that the people who make the funding decisions see that too, and will continue to invest in it.
Savannah is Oregonian, but you mentioned a vote process. Can you elaborate on that? The proposals still need to be voted on?
Yeah, maybe I'll let it go to the people who are in charge of that part.
Good morning. So to get some specifics, for Multnomah County side, for the 2 district attorney positions, it's $418,000. And for the voting process, so I submitted my chair's recommended budget on last Thursday, the 27th. We are beginning tomorrow the public process where the board considers the budget. We hear from the departments. And on June 8th, we will make the final vote to accept any changes, amendments, those things. And then that budget then, once it's approved, becomes effective on July 1st for the fiscal year 24.
I've already spoken with all of my colleagues. They all support it. It will be in my proposed budget, and it will be supported in the final budget.
Brandon with Point 6 for the chief and mayor. Given the resources that the police bureau has struggled with, what makes you confident that the police bureau will be able to hold up its end of the bargain, especially as over the weekend there have been no arrests and 2 homicides that occurred?
Yeah, like was stated earlier, we've been doing this work for a long time. We've been doing these missions for a long time. We've been partnering with other agencies for a long time, and our goal is to always be able to be there to respond to violent crime, shootings, and these types of things. We've made real big investments in investigating homicides and shootings with the increase of our homicide unit and the build out of our ECST, Enhanced Community Safety Team. Those investigations are ongoing, and we're always looking to make arrests for those cases. But this effort is something that we're committed to. We've been doing this for organized retail crime. We've been doing it for stolen vehicles, and we've also done street racing ones on the weekends when we can. And it's really, for us, it's just how can we be most effective with the resources we have? And we've been able to be really successful through partnerships. The folks standing behind me, having OSP, Gresham, Sheriff's Office all come together to help and assist has been our best way to address it. And as for the other stuff, we're constantly trying to focus on, you know, how do we respond to crime, investigate crime. It's a high priority, but this is something we're committed to, and we're happy to have the additional commitments from the city and county.
I'd like to just add to that if I could. So our contribution to this is based on what the district attorney said the district attorney needed in order to be successful. And what we were asked for was investigative capacity. And so that's our contribution to this new plan. The second thing, with regard to the homicides that have not been solved this weekend, we all watch crime shows, and the reality is they don't get solved the same day. It's very unusual, in fact, that a perpetrator is caught and arrested that day, particularly for a crime like this. It often takes significant investigative resource in order to bring people to justice, and that is the spirit in which we're contributing investigative capacity to this model. On the front end, I also want you to know this: the Portland Police Bureau does not have a recruiting problem. We're an outlier. When I go to mayoral conferences and I talk about the fact that we had 1,000 people apply last year, that we have a pipeline full of new recruits for the Portland Police Bureau, they're amazed by that. Portland is a destination bureau still, despite all of the challenges the community has faced. The pinch point for us hasn't been the recruiting. It's been getting people through the state-required training and out onto the streets. And so I can't underscore enough how important it is that the governor has supported increased capacity at DPSST for state certified training. That'll help us get through the backlog of folks who are just sitting around already on board, but waiting to get that required state certification. So I pledged over a year ago that we'd have 300 new personnel on the streets in 3 years. We're currently exceeding that. There was a lot of guffawing at the time, but we're actually ahead of the target, and I expect we'll meet that 300 threshold prior to the 3 years that I pledged.
I have one more for Ken. People who live and work here have been complaining about these specific issues for at least the last couple of years. Can someone discuss the timeline and process to get this together? And to people who wonder what took so long, maybe why today and not a year and a half ago?
So addressing timeline to get this going. So obviously, first step today is announcing this, having the leadership from the county chair, from the mayor, talking about getting this in their budget as a priority. That's step one. We expect that that'll be ratified with the votes from their colleagues. That funding will hit our agency on July 1. But that doesn't mean we necessarily even have to wait to July 1. We can start going now, start recruiting now, getting job postings up so that we're not waiting from July 1, now post a position, 6 weeks later fill it, 6 weeks after that. We're going to hit the ground running and get going as soon as we possibly can. So I think we're in good shape to get this going. In terms of, why not sooner than this? We have been doing the work that was done the same way. We're working on auto theft cases. My deputy DAs have worked with law enforcement, with police officers, training them. They have special sheets that they work with when they find somebody in a stolen car to make sure that we know that they have knowledge of what a stolen car is like and future things. So we've been doing the investigative work. This is just a better, like another way to enhance the level and not only get us connected with us, which we've been doing it together, but retailers when it comes to retail theft, other county entities, our neighboring sister counties that are doing this work. So this is kind of an evolution and the next step. We think that this will have an immediate impact. It'll help us make sure that we're making cases and that cases that if there were just lacking follow-up aren't going to languish on the vine. Having a dedicated resource will make sure that we get it into grand jury and get it indicted right away. So it really is, this work's been going on and there've been some innovative and new things ramping up, and this is the next step of getting us to the next level.
Sorry, I wasn't clear. Timeline back, how long have you been working on?
Oh.
You mentioned a year earlier, but how long did it take to get everybody on the same page here?
Well, so yeah, we've been talking about the retail theft. I've been on a statewide work group for the last, I think, 8 months or so. So that, obviously, I go to lots of meetings with businesses around our community. So, I mean, it's been kind of an ongoing process. I think the actual proposal to the city, to the mayor, and to the chair started in our budget season. So we really start looking at our budget priorities from the district attorney's office and from other agencies, towards the end of last year, starting to have those conversations. So we've been in this conversation for several months now talking about budgeting priorities and to get it to this point where they're going to be voting on it.
We have time for one or two more questions.
This could be for any of our leaders, but I'm curious to hear your take. When looking at this graph showing the increase of these auto thefts and these issues, why do you think it's increased so much in these last few years?
That's exact.
I think for me, I think it's a kind of a combination of a lot of things. There's been some things, that just haven't been helpful in this effort too, like things on social media. People have heard of the Kia Challenge and things of that nature. I think, also throughout, the pandemic, the courts were backed up and slowed down. Cases were kind of building up and things of that nature. And I think there's a lot of things that play into it. But I think now we're really starting to see this concerted effort be really efficient and effective. And I think if we can expand it, and some of the investments made today will help slow that down. I think the numbers are starting to trickle down right now. And I think over time, we'll be able to see how effective this is. And I'm really happy that, our partners are interested in seeing how we're doing the work so we can expand that work out into the metro area as well.
For Schmidt, I think there's a reason to believe that some of these hotspots for organized retail theft are like the box stores, some like Walmart and others that have left. But do you have data showing where where these hotspots are? And additionally, are you doing any consulting with Clackamas County on their successful retail theft busts recently? Obviously, their resources and priorities might be different, but.
Yeah, really what our case management system, which is where we pull a lot of our data from, doesn't delineate specific types of theft, so I don't have it broken out that way. But I've been meeting with retailers for a long time, from the smallest stores to a small business out on 82nd Ave who is getting hit for cigarettes and other things on a regular basis, all the way to the big box stores. I mean, I myself was shopping at a local retailer, and I'm in the Lego aisle with my son, and we saw somebody scoop up a bunch of Legos and walk out. I think we've all seen it. So my data and everything has been talking to all these retailers, hearing from them how they've been hit really hard. I met with a lot of loss prevention officers last week, talking about the very real experience that they've had. Some of which shared details about being held up at knife point and how traumatic that was for them. So what we know is we're hearing it from everybody. We see the theft reported data, but we also hear about a lot of thefts that don't go reported. And so those are some things that we're really interested in, also hoping this shores up. If you're the victim of a crime, we want you to report that crime because we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to hold people accountable for that. So hopefully this effort will encourage more people, if they're not reporting, to make those reports and have a big impact on the community.
All right, thank you everybody. That concludes for today. Let me know if you have